Chiefs got it done last Thursday night on the big game. We're going to talk risers and fallers from the Chargers output and start looking ahead to week 3. How can you get to 3-0? It's not exactly what we thought was going to happen. Let's get into it tonight. I know it's a strange night, but this is the breakdown from RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your weekend with that nice feeling, that kind of like satiated Thanksgiving feeling of a win under your belt. Got a full belly, just kind of roll with it and get into the action that's going around the league today. It's been a really busy couple of days, both in college football as well as around the NFL. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but got to get down and into what came from and what has to come from the Chiefs' effort against the Chargers. There's a lot going into it. Dan may be able to join me later tonight, but for now, it's just going to be you and me, and we're going to get into it a little bit because I'm pretty excited about what it means that we got through that ball game. At the end of the day, it's not every day that you get to really force that comeback and make those kind of plays. Now, there's been a lot of talk about what forced what plays and how lucky the Chiefs were. I've seen a lot of luck comments lately. We're going to get into it, and I know you guys are going to have some comments and questions as well. My big takeaways are, though, that you're rolling. You're able to still get the wins even when you're not playing your best. A lot of little things about this last game that really go into how can you roll that forward? Can you repeat that? The pass rush in particular, I thought they did a pretty good job of just not letting the end result be a huge negative. And at the end, that's really what it comes down to. Was it pretty always? No, not at all. Was it functional? That's really the question. When it comes down to it, Patrick did get hit a couple of times. That came from Orlando Brown. And funny enough, it came from Creed himself, gave up a pressure as well. And that's really the bulk of it. You could see that it wasn't clean, that it wasn't pretty. That's certainly legit. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a cavalcade of sacks and hits and Bosa and Mack and everybody all over Patrick. I think that's really what, if we're going to talk seriously tonight, I think that's what it really comes down to, is that you gave him enough to get the W. Now, were there things that had to happen? Absolutely. Were there things that you wish you can clean up? Sure. There's a couple of tosses that maybe Patrick wants back. I'm sure if I'm him, I've gone over the film already, and I know he has as well, that he's probably saying, okay, I missed there. I shouldn't have pushed that there. But overall, it didn't result in what we hoped. He even said post-game that, hey, I got lucky that he trapped that ball, like it hit the ground, and so that could have been one. So he's aware of it at least. And I think that's a building block. I think the other thing that's a real building block is that it's not a higher volume of run. I talked about it on the Locked On Chiefs show that comes out here in about 10 minutes. I want you to hear that as well because it's an interesting perspective from Chris. But it's also about the fact that when you're running effectively, it helps you overall. It doesn't have to be a higher percentage of run calls. And it wasn't. It certainly was not a high percentage at all. I think it came out at 26%. So at the end of the day, it's about the offense moving, the offense helping itself. And I think when you feel like you can rely a little bit and, hey, if you need to, just run the ball this down or whatever, save Patrick from being exposed or whatever, I think that helps. And so I feel like even though it's not the prettiest outcome, you got to win against your closest division rival, the team that is closest to your ability level, your talent level, and you were still able to get like the building blocks, the foundational stuff done. Now, I do see you guys have some questions. If you want to get in there, make sure, please put your question marks at the beginning of your question. That'd be over here, given what you're seeing. It helps me pick them out of the chat. And if you want to support the channel, the easiest way is the gear and the super chats. You leave me a super chat, I guarantee you I will answer it tonight. And tomorrow night, we'll have our standard full-length Q&A, like always, after we see some more fall down here. Right now, the Raiders are winning. It looks like the Broncos are winning. So it was an opportunity to take a lead in the West, but it isn't the lead that you wanted. If everybody lost this weekend, I think we'd be having a much different conversation. But it certainly feels like Patrick Mahomes has everybody focused on, okay, that's one out the door. Now we can move on, and we have to look forward to the Colts. We'll start talking about that tonight. I know it's a little bit early, given the breakdown's usually a post-game show, but we're going to get into that. I want to answer a couple of questions first and say hello to everybody. Gary's in here, Holly's in here, Terry's here, Frankie's here, Jeremy's here. Welcome, you guys. Sean, you have a very good point. I am a little bit concerned about that too. Like the outcome today at 24-0 with the Colts losing, I think that's almost too easy to overlook. Like the Chiefs have to guard themselves about not getting too overheated about it. So let's hope that their cooler heads are prevailing and they're on top of it. Now that doesn't look like it's Dan. Maybe it is. Hold on a second. Yep. Dan will try to get here, but not sure he's going to be able to make it. So we're going to continue and forge forward because Mo had another happening around the league. Tyreek had a day, that's for sure. And hey, he's done that for the Chiefs as well. I think the more interesting thing was Jaylen Waddle got a nice play, and Tua looked like he actually could command that. It wasn't just the specialists. Tua had to get him the ball. And so that there's a thread, there's a heartbeat there. There's capability. Now, Tyreek also had a couple of nice things to say on Thursday night about some of Patrick's throws as well. So I think this whole hubbub about him talking down the Chiefs and talking up to and all that, I don't think there's much to it. I think it's really him pressing like his media and his podcast and trying to get some vibe going. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely easy to see that Tyreek is still the athlete that he was. It was about, can that offense come together around him? Much like you see the Chiefs adapting their offense. You know, Watson's catch the other night, I think, was really indicative of the fact that you're shifting things, that you are taking what you did before and you're making it a priority as well. Tonight, today, tomorrow, next week, whatever it happens to be. And that is going to be a continued evolution. Watson did talk about the fact that that is a play that they had actually practiced for him. That is another skinny post, much like you saw in the preseason, that is a route that he's very clean at because he's got the size, he's got the speed, and he runs it pretty well. If you get the look that you're looking for, there's no reason not to pull that trigger. On the flip side, I know folks are concerned about Skye Moore. I'm not. I don't know that he'll have a breakout game against the Colts, but it's a possibility because when we take a step back and we look at the process that goes through the whole run up to this week, the staff knew back in training camp, and guys were talking about it here post game this weekend too, that there was preparation for the Chargers way back in the beginning of camp because you knew you had that tight schedule, that 4-day turnaround where you weren't going to be able to do a regular install and put a whole new slate of plays in. You had to kind of game plan for both Arizona and Los Angeles together. So Cardinals Chargers was kind of like one big game plan. So it didn't allow for a lot of variation. So I think at this point, you can take a step back. You've had this extra time. Now it's evaluating. Now you could even get Watson as kind of a decoy. I think they can get Skye Moore on the field in some different ways and do some different things now. And now they can start to progress how creative they are with him there. That was a good defense they played the other night. So it doesn't bother me that Skye wasn't a huge factor in that ball game. I think there are bigger fish to fry coming up. And obviously, when you give up 24 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars with a second-year player at quarterback that honestly had no support as a rookie, I think that bodes well for what the Chiefs are going to be able to do. I think that I see them getting off on a tangent here. There's also down the line, the whole deal with the Bucs here. Like we're going to get to that coming up as well. Want to make sure I'm not missing this. Ron said that he thinks it's a trap game as well. Yeah, it's very easy to fall into that trap because of today's outcomes. So I'm sure that the staff is all over everybody to make sure, hey, be diligent, put it down, make sure that you're running it up. I hope that Andy, much like week one, can do the same and keep that foot on the gas and get to that point. There's a lot of little things that kind of slow him down and help him ease up. So if they have this kind of like fear factor of, hey, these guys could be ready to spring, that can help a lot. And I think that it needs to. So I think it's going to be great as they move forward and continue to plan on that. Just got to get Andy to keep his foot down. I know Patrick will drive it, That's not a problem. I don't think it ever has been. If you have a question tonight, get it into the chat. I need to tell you about our newest sponsors because they are really helping us out. So let's do that, and then we'll get into the questions a little deeper. The NFL action is in full swing here at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Touchdowns, big plays, big come-from-behind wins, and new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If that's not enough, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Right now, for every leg that you add, you could boost your winnings up to 100%. With payouts bigger than ever, why bet on football anywhere else? To make things even sweeter, you can now throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game, all day, all season long. All you got to do is go to DraftKings Sportsbook, get that app at any app store, and use our promo code RGR to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's the code RGR, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility requirements do apply. Check the show notes for all the details. Given those details, I think that there's betting to be had, and thanks to DraftKings, our newest sponsor that helps us keep this show fresh and add all the new talent and add all the new graphics and the stuff that we're doing. There's a lot yet to come. Don't worry, we're building on it, but I want to make sure that we thank them and thank you guys for checking out DraftKings. Brian has a great point. Will the Chiefs activate, is what he meant to say, Danny Shelton for the Colts game? So you have perfect time to roll out 5 defensive alignment. Absolutely. If they don't activate Danny Shelton, then there's something wrong with Danny Shelton. He's either not in shape or there's some kind of injury we don't know about, because this is the perfect game to have him on the active. You don't have to play him 80% of the snaps. You just have to have him, because at the end of the day, Pittman was out today. Didn't look like Pierce played to me. I didn't see that announcement pre-game, but I was trying to keep tabs on it. That did not come to fruition. Those are your two big ones. And I like Paris Campbell. I do think that he has upside, but he's had the injuries and he just hasn't been developing. So he doesn't scare me. So I don't know that their pass game can do it. They have to do what they do, and that is rely on the run game. So for the Chiefs, I think they've been playing the run a little bit better this season, but they certainly have ways to improve there as well. And Danny does that. Now, I'm not saying that you have to come out in a bear front and cover the guard center guard. I think that's a great way to do it to begin the game. I'd like to see Spagnuolo use that a little bit and then come out of it back to like a little bit normal once you've got them in a position where running becomes more and more of a risk for them in terms of running out of time and being able to put up points and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think you can go physical and like bearish up front early, and that should take care of it. The other thing you can do is, whether you have Shelton in the game or not, I don't know if you necessarily go to a 5-man alignment, but if you're going to play a 4-man front and Shelton's one of them, that certainly helps. He will draw a double, but you got to get Leo into the game. I thought Leo, what was really quiet about this Chargers game is he played more than double the snaps that he played week 1 against the Cardinals. He went from 10 to 22. And I was really happy with that, because it's not just about the matchups and them wanting to be in base for some of that ball game. It is about what he's getting done. And I think as he goes on, the better he's going to get. Now, this is a perfect game for him. You can then run out a 4-man front like you normally want to do and have Leo on the field, whether it's in the base or in the 2. He did play a couple of snaps in just 2 linebacker sets as well. I think he got one of those in week 1, if I remember. But that allows you to blitz him. And they blitzed linebackers 2 weeks ago. They blitzed him a little bit on Thursday night. I'm still waiting for all the snap counts because I haven't finished my step-by-step film review. But that allows you to then send the linebacker. And Leo's got a penchant. He got 1 pass rush snap on Thursday, and he hit the quarterback. So he's proficient at it. He's giving you what you need out of it. That's really all you can ask from him. I think those two things, Shelton and Chanel together, or at least back and forth, allows you to combat the strength of the Colts offense. And that's what they're going to have to do. And then once you do your thing on the offensive side of the ball, we'll talk about, who needs to help them do that here. I think that just sets you up to be in the driver's seat. And so while a trap game certainly is a possibility, I think once you get out to that lead, I think you're in really good shape to keep that going. Brandon, I didn't mean to click on your comment about Bart, but yeah, Bart has a way of putting his foot in his mouth quite a bit. So Okay, Adrian, thank you for confirming that. Yeah, Pierce was inactive as well. So, yeah, without both their top weapons, I don't see how they're going to push the Chiefs hardly at all. Avery's in the house. How are you, buddy? I think the team not playing up to their expectations on Thursday will prevent the Colts game from being a trap, as it could have been. Had we been dominant on Thursday, it would have been easier to fall into. That's a fair point, Avery. And it's just human nature, right? If you're just kicking the snot out of guys, and then you see a team that just got that snot kicked out of them, like it's hard to keep that mental edge. So I'm with you. I like that you're pointing out like the things that we don't see on the field, because that goes into a lot of it, to tell you the truth. Now, there's other things you got to do on offense too. Let me look at the comments before I start talking about what I was thinking. Make sure I'm not answering that. Okay. Yep. Okay. So Terry already called out what I was going to talk about. And that's the fact that Jody got 6 snaps. And I think it was partly game flow. It was about how they were trying to attack, but that's just not enough. He's too good of a weapon. And quite frankly, I think the the end zone pass that could have been a touchdown, I think that was just basically based off of what I talked about earlier, the two game planning together, where it didn't get creative. It didn't change it up. There were times in this ball game against the Chargers that it was very predictable play calling, and that led to some problem plays as well. So it's a little bit of everything, but I think certainly what we'll see is that not only will Leo play, and there's Rob with a comment on it too. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to put these together. If you have questions, make sure you get them in the chat. Sunday night for us, so we can get into the weeds a little bit if we want to. I like that. But not only do you have to get Leo in on the defensive side, you got to get Jody more in on the offensive side, because the other combine is Kels played like 90% of the snaps. I want to say it was 48 out of 57. And that is not good. That is not what I'm looking for from Travis Kelce. Because yes, it was a division foe, and yes, it was an important game. But man, that's a lot of work for a guy at his age that you're trying to really keep fresh, keep him for the whole duration of the season. Like, there's no reason to be pushing that right now. I mean, had you been like, I guess you were behind, but if you had been farther behind, maybe they wouldn't have done that. And that's probably fair, to tell you the truth. I'm going to double check that and just make sure I have that number right. Oh, I was wrong. It was 51. I mean, that's even worse. So he only got 6 plays off. That's not much for a guy that age. And so I'd like to see them do that a little bit more. So that was taking care of what Terry was talking about. And it's just because, again, I think that they wanted to emphasize some different things in terms of when they went 11, when they did the 4-by-1, when they were splitting out the running backs a little bit. I think that was just part of that game plan. I think they will shift now. And now that they can get back to doing, like, pretty much from now until the bye week, it's going to be a regular game planning session every week. I think that will lead to some more consistencies and some of the things that we're looking for. Quite frankly, I don't know that they're in a big hurry to show Jody off. They want to keep him a little bit more wrapped up, is my guess, until later in the season. Excuse me, Terry. Mo, Juju and MVS were no-show against the Chargers. They didn't get a lot done, did they? But I have to say, that secondary is underrated. I think we do need to point that out, because like even Michael Davis is good. You have to give him that kind of credit. When we look at what they did, I want to double check, because I think it was Trav, and then Clyde and McCole were the targeted ones. MVS got 5, so that would have put him second. Sorry about that. Juju was lower down. Juju caught everything thrown at him, though, so you can't really give him a lot of static for that. What did he get yak-wise? It wasn't much. It was just 10 yards. It was difficult. You got 50 yards out of Watson. You got 44 in the pass game out of Clyde. Then 49 from Hardman, 51 from Travis. It was just a stingy game. It was a stingy pass defense. And I think at the end, I'm not overly alarmed at that. If they had to come down to a play, I would have liked to seen them use Juju a little bit more. I think like they were, and Dan's going to do a review for you guys that'll probably illustrate this a little bit more, but it felt like they were trying to go to MVS to get him going a little bit. Dan's doing the breakdown currently, you guys, of the film. You guys will see that here in a day or two. He may have some insights tomorrow night too. But with all the college work and all the stuff going on with here, I haven't dug into the 22 yet. Just doing the basic rewatch still. So I think that is an effort to kind of like get that sparked. It feels like to me, and you guys tell me what you think in the comments. I felt like Juju kind of just woke up and got going. Like he was natural. The regular season came around, and he was like, bam, ready to go. I don't think there's a lot that you have to do to spark him. Whereas MVS, I think like you do need to make some effort and get him going a little bit. And that's okay. Whatever you have to do to make sure everybody's firing on all cylinders, I say do that. It's just that he didn't seem very effective against the Chargers. So let's see what he does this next week against a secondary in Indy that I think is a little bit more susceptible, not quite as physical in my opinion. And I think they can get more things done. Terry, why are we only using Jody the red zone? Okay, I got that one. And it was Rob that was pointing out, do we see more of Leo in blitz packages against the run and pass? The pass is going to be, you either got to blitz him or you got to put him on the sideline. I don't think they're comfortable with him playing backwards yet. I'm a little surprised that they had Elijah Lee up and he hasn't played yet. I don't think he got any snaps this last game. I'm going to check that right now. But that surprises me a little bit. And no, Lee got none. Whereas Leo got 22. That's pretty good. 1 pass rush, 10 in coverage. I don't think he was targeted. No, they didn't even go at him. Who they went at was Willie Gay. And Willie had an up and down game, in my opinion. His tackling needs to improve. But he was there and he was physical and he got a lot of things done. He had a pressure. He had a TFL, if I remember correctly. Let me find his line real quick. He lined up mostly in the box. He did have that PBU. TFLs are always important. He had like, six tackles on the night. I think he was the leading tackler. Yes, Willie Gay was the leading tackler. In the pass game, though, they felt that they had a matchup that they could exploit. So they went at him. They targeted him 14 times. Willie was the focus of how they were trying to do that. And I don't know if they saw one matchup that they liked or that was their game plan all along. But, man, I would not – if you had asked me, I would not have told you that Willie Gay Jr. was going to be the biggest targeted guy. And, yes, he gave up some yardage. I think it was 94 yards on the night. There are worse things. If that's what you get, I think you're doing okay because clearly, while it was a close game and it was well combated, it wasn't anywhere near where he was like this just latent vulnerability. If he cleans up the tackling, he's going to be all over it. I feel like he's a hair's breadth away from getting a pick, getting to the quarterback. Like I felt like he did everything pretty well. He's just got to clean up the fine details. Now, I don't know what you guys see, but I'm encouraged by that. And I think that this game may be a lesson to say, you can get some yards on him, but I wouldn't go at him all night. They went at L'Jarius Sneed a lot as well. And that touchdown, that one-handed touchdown was just ridiculous. I can't fault him for anything there. But L'Jarius lined up in the box. He lined up at linebacker a few times. He lined up in the slot predominantly, but also on the outside for 20 snaps of his, I think, 57 on the night. I'm sorry, no, 75. L'Jarius and Justin Reed are the two guys that played every snap of that ball game. That's it. It's a healthy rotation on the D-line. You'd like to be able to have a little bit more depth. Obviously, with McDuffie out, it's tough at the corner spot. So he's going to have to keep doing that. And that's just the way it's going to be until McDuffie returns, that is. Now, what happens with Shad? I know everybody's pretty pumped up about Jaylen Watson, and you should be. It was a very instinctive play. He had a couple other plays where he was targeted, and he did a pretty good job. He also missed a few tackles as well. There's also I don't buy into that pick six was because the target, I think he's the tight end, just didn't play. I mean, that was still Jaylen making a play. You can't just say that it was because the other guy didn't make an effort, although he did not. That's for dang sure. It is what it is, though, and you make and take advantage of the plays that you get. And I thought he did a great job with that. And hopefully it's something that he can build on as well, because I think he's going to get more reps. I can see him and Fenton maybe splitting a little bit more. I don't think he's going to take over for Fenton. Steve Spagnuolo is still a pretty loyal guy. And even though Fenton got roughed up pretty bad, I don't think they're going to yank him. I could be wrong. We'll find out on Tuesday. We should have a better idea. And then Wednesday we'll have the practice report and then we'll know. No cap. Who will get the 1,000 yards other than Kelsey? Man, it feels like Juju to me right now. But I just can't tell if this was a mirage these first 2 weeks or if they're going to hit their stride in a different way, where maybe it could be McCole. Maybe it could be if Skye comes on hard. I'm telling you, He could explode. With this offense, having so many people to have to try to cover, I could see that pretty easily, to tell you the truth. Let's see, where are we at? Next question. Rob, I believe CH was pivotal in this win. Does Andy start using him more in the pass situation, or do we keep the rotation of McKinnon? I think he's still going to supplement him with McKinnon, but I think what we saw where, like, I got to look at touches for the running backs, but I want to say that he got the majority of the looks. And what was it? It was, yeah, McKinnon got 4. That's okay. So Clyde got double in terms of attempts. Really, it's about the passing for me, because what we saw the other night is the beginning of what we should see from Clyde. And by running the ball a little bit early, you saw that big run that he broke late was an effect of the wear down on that defense. So, like, I think what we saw from Clyde versus the Chargers is what we should have expected as a rookie and what we should expect going forward. So I'm pretty excited about that. Spell him with McKinnon even better. And don't worry about Pacheco either. I know some folks were down, like he only got 2 attempts, and he got pretty bottled up. Don't worry about it. He's gonna bust out, and that's a good defense. So, like, I think the 1-2-3 punch that they have is pretty potent, and I'm feeling good about it. WW, it's been a while for sure. I feel like folks forget how good or how much the Chargers improved over the offseason. Is in more important to win ugly games than blowing another out? I think it is. I mean, that tells you that not only do you have the confidence when teams are close, but it tells you that you understand how to adjust and move on the fly and take what they're giving you, exploit it, and attack their weakness. It's a process through the ball game in order to make sure that you're hitting on what's going to get you the win. That's key. Rob, you're absolutely right. That's the thing with Willie. It's not just breaking down; it's just understanding his momentum and anticipating what the back is going to do, or especially on those swings and screens. A little bit less so versus tight ends and those kind of things. So, Carlos, can we complete some hook passes? I mean, they can, but a defense like that is ready to jump on that. And when you have 2 high safeties, which they spent, I want to say, about 60% in. They got some man early with single high. They moved into some 2 highs, and I haven't completed it, but I think it's going to work out to be 55, 60% was 2 high. When you have that, whenever you run the hooks, you got multiple guys coming down at you. If you're looking to exploit something, that's just a step in the process. That's not really the big payoff, to tell you the truth. If you want to do some in-breaking routes, you want to run like the sails or the daggers and come back underneath on the digs and bring the in-breaking routes and run the in at like 8 and 12 yards so that you get that timing with the deep and cut them across. That's what I'd like to see them do more, rather than that kind of like slow arching over route. Like, that's what I want to see. But thank you, WW. Appreciate you. Winning ugly helps you prepare for the playoffs, because that's what it should be in the playoffs. If it's not, then hey, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Oh yeah, and the Bengals lost. Even better. So, I mean, when you take a look at the standings, there's not a whole lot that you can argue about. Let me take a look. I could even maybe show these up. Let's see. Are the Raiders done yet? No. But the Raiders let the Cardinals come all the way back. It's 23-21 right now. And that's concerning if you think that the Raiders were going to come on. I'm not sure that that's really going to happen. I'm checking for more of your guys' comments and questions. We're going to get into that here in a second as we take a look. Oh, they did? They hit the 2 points, so they tied it up? Dang. I like it. So Miami's 2-0. Chiefs are 2-0. That's it. That's it in the AFC. The Giants of all teams are 2-0. And the Bucks. But the Bucks, they scored like, 4 points today and won? So, like, those are it. Those are your 4 undefeated teams. I think that says a lot. And if this actually happens and the Raiders let the Cardinals back in, it's going downhill fast. Denver did get a win, so they are 1-1. It gives you a look that, like, Chiefs are in good shape. And the Bengals are in trouble at this point. I don't know what their problem is. If you took Burrow in fantasy, I'm sorry. That's all I can really say for you. That's just the way that it works sometimes. But it is what it is. Yeah, no cap. When you win and you look bad, well, you got to take it for what it's worth. I did see part of that game, and like I've been telling you guys for a couple of years, I think Sutton's the real deal. And now that he's recovering, I think he's going to be in good shape. I think he could be big. Who else has this 2-point conversion and they tie? Okay. So they're going, looks like they're going for that now. Jay Watson reminded him of Snead during his rookie year. Yep, absolutely. And that's a really encouraging thing. And it's also underrated that like Legarius can walk him through part of the process for that as well, because it is definitely different. FLV had, there was a new feature that just came out on Discord. I'm looking at which might help the game day organization. Awesome. Let me know and ping me on there so we can have a chat, and I'll try to figure that out amongst all the other 18,000 things we got going on, because there's a ton. So where it leaves the Chiefs right now is, I mean, they're not in the driver's seat, but they're at the front of the bus. You know what I mean? So it's very, very close. I don't think that Miami's going to be able to sustain this. All kudos to Tyreek and Tua today, and especially Jaylen Waddle. But I just don't see that as a consistent team. Let's see. They've outscored their opponents by a total of 17 plus. The Chiefs are leading the league right now in a 26-point differential. So even if they are able to kind of steady out, I'm still not concerned about it. Let's see. The Bills are number 2 in the NFL in point differential now. And followed by the followed by the Dolphins and the Vikings together. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, of all things. So, hey, you never know what's going to happen. Hit me with any other questions, and we'll get to those. Otherwise, we're going to call it a night, and I'm going to go have a beer and try to watch this Sunday night game. If you guys would hit the thumbs up, that would always help. Appreciate it very much. If you haven't seen me before or been on our GR before, I'm Ryan. Thanks for spending some time with us. Hit the like and the sub and the bell, because we're going to be back tomorrow night at 6 Central, just like always, answering all of your questions. Dan should be able to join me for that one. So thanks for being here tonight. You guys have a good Victory Monday, because it is still going on, and we'll get ready for those Colts coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.